Two breaking updates out of Philly have Eagles fans on edge. One involves key names like Landon Dickerson, A.J. Brown, and Devonta Smith, raising big questions ahead of the season. The other hits right at the most critical spot on the roster, with even a new name being quietly mentioned behind the scenes. With the opener against the Cowboys getting closer, concern is definitely building. If you're a true Eagles fan, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any updates. Let's get into it. If there's one thing every NFL squad is crossing their fingers for during training camp, it's to make it out with the roster intact. And while the Philadelphia Eagles have dodged any catastrophic injuries so far, the little stuff? Yeah, that's starting to stack up. And it's not the kind of preseason momentum you want to roll into week 1 with. Let's start up front. The O-line's taking some hits, and the biggest gut check came when Landon Dickerson had a major scare a few weeks ago. It looked serious, like season over serious, but he somehow walked away with the best possible outcome. Still, his week 1 status is very much in the air. And with Philly's offensive line depth already a bit shaky, that's a red flag waving hard. Then there's Johnny Wilson. The dude was starting to come into his own during the preseason, looking solid, especially in the run block game. But Tuesday's practice turned grim real quick. Wilson had to be carted off the field. The worst-case scenario became reality. He's done for the year, needing surgery on both his knee and ankle. Brutal. Luckily, the Eagles had just pulled the trigger on that John Mckee trade, which now looks like a much smarter move. Still, Wilson was going to be a key contributor, and his absence will be felt, no doubt. Across the board, the offense is getting dinged up. A.J. Brown's been in and out of action with a nagging hamstring issue. Devonta Smith, sitting out recently with a groin thing. Jordan Mailata took a shot to the head and is in concussion protocol. Even backup QB Tanner Mckee can't catch a break. He's dealing with a finger injury on his throwing hand. It's not full-on panic mode, but it's getting a little crowded in the trainer's room. Defensively, it's not quite as bad, but it's far from perfect. Rookie safety Andrew Mckee looked like he was about to make a legit case for the starting job after a breakout showing against the Browns, complete with a pick 6. But Tuesday hit hard again. He tweaked his hamstring and hasn't been back on the field since. Talk about bad timing. And it doesn't stop there. Joshua Uche and Kelly Ringo both sat out Thursday's practice. Uche with a groin issue, Ringo with a quad injury. These aren't stars, but they're important depth guys, especially for a defense trying to figure out who's starting where. Nakobe Dean still isn't back from that torn patellar tendon either, so the middle of the field remains a bit of a question mark. Now look, maybe some of these are just precautionary sits. Coaches always play it safe this time of year. But with week 1 creeping closer, and the Dallas Cowboys on deck, it's not exactly comforting to have this many guys in bubble wrap. The Birds need to get healthy, fast, and what just came out about the most scrutinized position on the team is sparking even more debate among fans. If Tanner Mckee hadn't banged up his throwing hand earlier this week, nobody would have blinked seeing him chilling in a hoodie on the sidelines at MetLife during the Eagles' preseason finale against the Jets. But thanks to that pesky finger injury, all eyes, literally, were glued to him, with reporters and press box scouts playing detective with their binoculars all night long. Mckee had already locked up the QB2 job heading into the season. The Stanford product was all set to fill the role Kenny Pickett held last year during Philly's Super Bowl run. But now, there's a little cloud hanging over that plan. While the good news is Mckee won't need surgery, and the injury isn't expected to linger long-term, Week 1 against the Cowboys on September 4th is looking a little dicey. He kept that hand zipped up in his hoodie the entire night, didn't toss a ball, didn't even grab a post-game snack. Clearly, something's bothering him. Head coach Nick Sirianni was his usual cryptic self when asked if Mckee would be ready to roll for the season opener. "We'll see," he said, keeping it vague. But his tone hinted that this might be more than just a minor blip. So that left the QB3 spotlight fully on rookie Kyle McCord in the preseason finale. And man, it wasn't pretty. McCord went 15 for 35 with just 136 yards and a pretty bad pick, forcing a throw into tight coverage. He owned it post-game, admitting he should have checked it down to Mckee instead of going full gunslinger mode into bracket coverage. Still, McCord's taking the right mindset into his first NFL camp. He knows it's about progress, even if it's ugly sometimes. One day you feel like Joe Montana. The next you're learning what not to do. But here's the kicker. If Mckee can't go and Jalen Hurts, heaven forbid, needs a breather, Philly's down to a very raw rookie, or Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who hasn't shown he's ready to be anything more than a camp arm right now. That's not exactly comforting when you're opening against Dallas. There's one wild card out there, Kenny Pickett. If Cleveland decides to move on from him after his trade in March, don't be surprised if Howie Roseman makes a few calls. The Eagles are known for finding every edge, and with roster cuts coming August 26th, you better believe Philly's front office will be watching closely. For now, they'll cross their fingers that Hurts stays upright and Mckee's finger bounces back fast, because the Eagles can't afford to start the season with questions at backup quarterback. Warning signs are flashing in Philly. With kickoff just around the corner, this team can't afford uncertainty where it matters most. If you're into this kind of breakdown, subscribe and stay locked in.